A very good evening, folks. Thanks for clicking on to the live stream this evening. Can people, if you're on at the moment, just give me a thumbs up that you can actually hear me speaking. This is the very first time I've done this, so I do apologise. I notice as well the screen's actually not that great a quality, so this may be a kind of short and sweet video because quite literally I don't know what I'm doing. But you have to start somewhere, I suppose. Let's just wait and see if there is anybody there. I can see one person. If you're there, can you give us a wee comment just to know that there is actually life behind the screen here? I hope everybody's had a good Christmas. Certainly it's been pretty relaxed here in Invergordon. A nice cold, crisp Christmas, actually. And yeah, the weather has been pretty decent, actually. Can you hear me, Lindsay? How you doing? Katrine, can you hear me speaking? Hi, James. Yeah, that's because you're in the background, Lindsay. Can you hear me actually on the screen? On the video, like? Yeah. Well, how has everybody's Christmas been? Of course, we continue with this rather weird situation at the moment where we're not really able to kind of plan anything, are we? I'm going to try and continue to improve this because I would have quite liked to have maps in the background to be able to look and show you some stuff with regards to the weather rather than just me blabbering on and you having a look at my ugly face. So let me see. Hi, Chris. Hi, Katrine. Hi, Christopher's mum. So yeah, the weather has been rather interesting. We were right on the dividing line between warm and cold. I suppose one could argue that the warm won the show at the end of the day. However, that being said, there was snow, especially over high elevations, and we had temperatures just barely above the freezing mark, add in a brisk east to southeasterly wind, and it was feeling sub-freezing. Of course, we are going to see a warm-up in the run-up the new year, and temperatures may hit 17 Celsius. Amazing stuff in parts of southern Britain before we reach the bells and bring in 2022. Pretty remarkable, actually, isn't it? Hi, Devlin, Danny. Yep, all good. You can hear me. Ready for the heat wave next week, eh? Yeah. Let's wait and see what the stratospheric situation is as well, because of course I've been talking about that recently as well. The fact that the stratosphere is weakening, and when all is said and done with regards to the overall ideas for the winter forecast, of course, the East QBO, the low solar, when you factor everything in, is global warming, is carbon dioxide really doing, what many people say it's doing? Is it cyclical? I've always believed that it was cyclical, and the sun was a major driver in terms of controlling Earth's temperature. This is a time when this is going to be a massive test with regards to whether we can start to bring down the global temperature or whether it will continue to rise. And that is a worrying prospect, actually, the fact that, the Earth does continue to warm, it appears to be, and it throws into question a lot of different things. Yeah, it does make me wonder, to be honest with you, whether the folk on the global warming side of the argument actually do have a point. Now, I'm not throwing in the towel and saying that, yep, carbon dioxide is going to blow the planet up in 50 years' time or what, but certainly hope that we can start to see some winter weather coming back to the British Isles again. Of course, we have seen a very chilly spell during December of this year across much of Europe, and the cold was so close yet so far away, wasn't it? With regards to snow and sub-freezing temperatures, and overall, I don't think it was a hugely bad forecast actually, because if you go back and look, it was a case of we would see the cold spell at the end of the month, and then we would see warming temperatures again for a couple of weeks, perhaps into early January. There is indications actually that we are going to start to see colder weather coming back again. But like I said, that stratosphere is going to be very interesting to see whether we can get the weakening of the vortex. We're seeing the warming across parts of Siberia. We're seeing it even looping around over Europe. And of course, 3-4 weeks down the line, if that materializes and we get a sudden stratospheric warming, you might actually see a major cold spell developing towards the end of January, beginning of February. So we'll wait and see what happens indeed here. So just having a wee quick look at the comments. Appreciate you joining me. I notice I've got 10 people on at the moment, so I do appreciate you taking the time out of your Boxing Day to watch me rambling nonsense. Yeah, I do have to agree with you, Christopher's mum. 7 Celsius, damp and very misty in Essex. Yeah, pretty dreek, as they would say up here in Scotland. Up here in Rochester, it's actually been a pretty actually a pretty decent day, in fact, because we had bright skies, temperature slowly starting to climb up as we go through the course of today and the next several days. We're going to start to see that cold, dense, heavy air start to warm up. Of course, it takes its time starting to see the mid-levels of the atmosphere warming up with winds kicking in from the west-southwest or south-southwest, should I say. And what's going to take place is we're going to start to see that warmth, at 2, 3, 4, 5,000 feet above our heads, start to mix down to the surface, and that's how we're going to start to see the warmer air coming back into play once again. The question is, of course, how warm are we going to get? Well, some of the models are indicating 850 temperatures as high as 11, 12 Celsius, which is bonkers. You transfer that warmth down to the surface and you factor in wind, sunshine, things like that. You could be talking quite comfortably temperatures in the ballpark of 17 Celsius in parts of southern Britain. So where's everybody from? And like I asked before, did you have a good Christmas? I hope you did. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of situation we'll find ourselves in as we head into the Hi, Michael. I appreciate you joining me, bud. I think you've been patiently waiting actually for me for the last 10 minutes or so. It was taking me a wee while to try and figure out how to go live on YouTube. It's going to take a wee while to get used to this, but I'm going to try to continuously improve as I go forward. I'm always trying to do that. Rainy and dull in Norfolk. Soren, is that how you pronounce it? Whereabouts in Norfolk are you, Soren? Deliver with the truck to Kings Lynn, and I do quite a lot of work around Spalding, Kings Lynn, Holbeach. So I'm down there quite a lot actually with the lorry. Supposed to be working tonight, in fact, but that's been cancelled with orders. So I'm back in tomorrow morning. So I'm getting a bit of a longer break than I thought. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting winter to see how this overall pans out. Is it going to be a massive bust and we don't really see much in terms of a winter in 2022, or do we start to see major things taking place as we go forward, or could we see even these wee kind of short-lived cold spells? That's going to be interesting interesting to see actually as we go forward. Thurrock in southwest Essex. It's rained heavily Christmas Eve, and it's been raining today as well. So pretty miserable stuff, I would imagine. Katrine. Glenfarg in Perthshire. Yeah, you would certainly expect it to be a little bit chillier. I suppose cloudy and 1 Celsius. You can get really any type of weather, I suppose. And when you factor in kind of the law of averages in the UK, you probably have a better, well, they say that you've got a better chance of having a white Easter as opposed to a white Christmas in the UK. But of course, you throw in different aspects, different cyclical drivers, and of course, it can be a very mixed picture. South Norfolk, near Beccles. We are near the most easterly point of the UK. So I take it you must be kind of Lowestoft way. Well, that would be no, that's Suffolk, in it. Near Great Yarmouth. I think I was there as a child on a caravan holiday actually in Great Yarmouth. Don't remember. I was too young at the time. But thanks, James, for tuning in. Bud Somerset, now living in West Yorkshire. That's probably a shocking Yorkshire accent. Dust and snow, lazy night. Now murk. Escort data gives it away really, but we're dealing with scientism. Yeah. Hull. Done a couple of trips over with the truck to the Netherlands actually, so I've got that Hull to Rotterdam ferry a couple of times. Quite a good experience actually. I quite enjoyed that. 14 Celsius Wednesday here in Ireland, but stormy. Yeah. See if it's going to. See, in my opinion, if it's going to be Lindsay. Oh, you're from Invergordon. Didn't realise that. Lindsay, by the way, is actually sitting literally in the next room. By the way, I appreciate you checking in. I'm surprised she's tuning into this, but she's probably sick and tired of hearing me talking at the best of times. I suppose, yeah, if it's going to be mild, I would rather have storms, some sort of weather to get your teeth around, as opposed to just this kind of drab, boring kind of weather. Literally a mile from the river border of Norfolk, Suffolk. All right, cool. Nice part of the world. Yeah, I've taken the truck across the continent a couple of times. Quite an interesting experience. Had a delivery. You've probably heard me talking about this in previous videos, but taking a load of game from a place called Bonar Bridge, which is about 20 miles perhaps to the north of Invergordon, where I live at the moment, and taking game across to the Netherlands and then going back through Belgium, driving through Belgium and out of France. The first time I done it, I actually used the Youre tunnel. The second time I got the ferry from Calais across to Dover. So good experiences, I must admit. Yeah, very flat indeed. You get much flooding issues, Soren, down there in that part of the world? I do apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. So don't know if I've missed anybody. How you doing, Charlie? So yeah, I'm going to cut this reasonably short actually, because it was really just a kind of test live stream this evening. I don't want to end up kind of just boring folk. I'm sure you're wanting to spend time with your family, which I fully appreciate. And I'm going to probably just do a normal video tomorrow. there has been snow in Bradford, in Yorkshire. One of my colleagues is actually down in Bradford loading for Marks and Spencers. So he's been bumped down to Bradford while I'm sitting in my jammies in the house. I know what I would rather be doing, and that is exactly what I'm doing now. Yes, I have a friend who lives there. Right, okay. Right. Get a bit of flooding, but the marshes are very wide. Okay, a large amount of flooding. The odd road or two. Yeah. I notice sometimes when I go through Cambridgeshire and into, I think it's Norfolk or Suffolk, because I know all the borders kind of merge with one another, don't they? And I noticed some of the roads are very, very low level, like kind of low lying to some of the kind of the rivers in that part of the world. Mark, you're never born. Oh, thank you. Some people would say, some people would say quite the opposite. I would imagine. Any chances of a sudden stratospheric warming? Well, James, I certainly hope there would be. I'm not necessarily kind of going back on the forecast that I've had. However, it does make you sometimes a wee bit nervous when you do throw out a forecast, and of course, people hold on to every single word you say and not necessarily twist what you say, but when you say something on a public platform, there is people that are desperate to see what you say becoming wrong or false, and then you get all sorts of stuff. And I know Gavin Partridge has had a pretty rough couple of days, and I hope Gavin doesn't mind me saying that, because I tell you what, that man has spent hundreds of hours working on a forecast, and when it doesn't go right, you get crucified for it. But let me tell you something, people like myself and people like Gavin and other people, you know, it is a guessing game, but there is certain parameters that you go by, and very easy to turn around and wish cast and say, well, I think it's going to be a brutally cold winter. There's going to be 10 feet of snow on the ground on Christmas Day and all that. I do try to stick to the understanding that I have of the weather and the drivers and so on and so forth. And I try to make a prediction based on knowledge and understanding of what's happening and what climate drivers. If you get X amount of climate drivers on the playing field, based on past, there is an increased chance of something happening with regards to either cold or mild or whatever. And based on this year, and of course the 18 to 24 months after the solar minimum, you look back to 2009-10, and we've seen the kind of winter that we had there. We'll go back even to 2000-2001. I think that was a worse winter in terms of for Scotland rather than for southern portions of the UK. And you look back at history and see the different types of climatic drivers that were in place in order for a certain type of weather to develop. And what I would say is that there is an increased chance of seeing a sudden stratospheric warming this year, but that doesn't necessarily mean when you've got an easterly QBO, you've got, of course, the solar situation as it is at the moment. We've got an east-based La Nina at the moment. We've got a sea surface temperature profile that is very similar to 2010. You've got even aspects including the Siberian snow cover, the Siberian high that develops, and like I said before, there is a world of cold in the northern hemisphere. There's a lot of heat as well. Of course, you only have to look back at the weather this month in North America. Just unbelievable warmth across the heart of the United States, and then of course you got the cold coming into the western portion of Northwest America, and a white Christmas in some places that don't typically see it. Some parts of Victoria on the British Columbia coast, of course, had its first white Christmas in X amount of years. And of course, temperatures across the central part of Europe was extremely cold as well. Very good evening, Matthew. I appreciate you tuning in on this Boxing Day evening and taking the time to listen to me rambling on. But yeah, when you combine everything, there is an increased chance of a sudden stratospheric warming, and the modelling is seeing stuff going on up there that does suggest the possibility as we go down the road of something here. I think I do think we are going to get spells of cold. How cold? How long does the cold last? All open the question. A very Merry Christmas to you as well, Matthew. I hope you had a good one. Hope your family are safe and well at this time. And yeah, I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter. If you happen to be on Twitter and you don't follow me, if you're interested in this and my weather videos and weather, and give me a follow. I do appreciate that. And of course, check out markvoganweather.com as well for monthly outlooks and the winter forecast if you haven't already checked that out. Very cold, by the way, across eastern portions of Asia. Japan had some very cold weather. North and South Korea had a brutally cold Christmas as well. So despite the fact that we've got super warm weather across the United States, we've got exceptional cold across western portions of Canada. That's bleeding into the Pacific Northwest, for example. Heavy snow all the way down to Lake Tahoe in California. And so there's definitely plenty of cold as well as warm, which makes it more difficult to forecast as well when you've got the extremes on the playing field, really, so to speak. Very good evening, Graham. Thanks very much, Graham. I do appreciate you following my forecasts. Hope you're having a good evening. Hope you had a good Christmas and your family as well. Health and happiness, that's all that really we are looking for at this time, and maybe hopefully some sort of certainty as we go forward, because it's hard to plan things at the moment as well, isn't it? When you've got so much stuff going on around the world. So is there anybody else there that would like to make a wee comment? I'll give them a shout out. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it a day at this. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll maybe try and do a live stream perhaps once a week, and I'm going to try and get some charts up to have a better look at stuff, and we can discuss things in the live chat with regards to what's going on weather-wise, both across Ireland, British Isles, Europe, and around the world. It'd be quite good to kind of look at that, and you can also ask me questions. Okay, so do I keep my snowblade on my compact tractor for another week or two? Well, we're going to warm up, Graham. Whereabouts are you located? Because we're going to warm things up quite a bit over the course of the next several days. In fact, we may be talking about some of the models are actually indicating quite stormy conditions towards the end of the week, as well as the warmth. The warmth is going to be the big story, of course, because we're needing to keep an eye on not necessarily monthly records, because the UK December temperature record is over 18 Celsius, and I would be very surprised if it gets to that level. Portlethen, let me guess, that's down in the Cornwall coast, Graham, is that right? I visited there once. You get terrific views of the waves battering up against the cliff face there. I visited there. It was quite the opposite. In fact, it was beautiful sunshine, warm weather. I think it was back in the summer of 2018. Oh, I do. South Aberdeen. Portlethen, right, okay. Where am I thinking of? There's a place in the Cornish coast actually that that's very like that. Sorry about that, Graham. I'm just getting confused in my geography here. How do I forecast weather when I can't even flip and decipher between Aberdeen and Cornwall? Shocking stuff, man. Shocking stuff. What's your weather been like there today, Graham? I would imagine it's been fairly gloomy because I think Dundee had pretty misty, gloomy conditions. Up here across Invergordon, it's actually been pretty decent actually. Hi James, from Fife. I spent most of my school days in Fife. Went to Buckhaven High School. Whereabouts in Fife are you, James? Cool, windy, with some light rain. Aye, oh well. You just have to deal with that and put up with it, don't we? Michael, how you doing, Michael? I appreciate you tuning in, my friend. Whereabouts are you from, Michael? So yeah, I'm going to tune out, and I will do a video tomorrow having a look at the forecast models. I will try and look at the situation with the southern stratospheric warming and see what the models are indicating from Essex. Very nice indeed. Pretty close to London. I like that part of the world. A bit too busy for me. I spent 2 years actually in London. Listen, Graham, I really appreciate your support, mate. I really do. County Louth. Justin, thanks very much for tuning in, my friend. What's it been like over in County Louth today? I would imagine it's been a little bit unsettled. It's most accurate. Great streams, mate. Very informative. Looks like GFS hinting at cool weather around the 5th. Blocking still there. Yep, there is a lot of blocking within the Arctic at this moment in time. Plenty of cool weather as well within the mid latitudes. So if you can get the right type of weather pattern to kind of shift around the warm and cold pools within the mid latitudes, there's even without sudden stratospheric warming, you can still bring in cool weather. Clear sky here in Oxfordshire. Very good, very good. I think it's still clear here in Invergordon actually at the moment. Yeah. I actually finished nursery school and began primary school in Camberwell in central London. So that was a pretty good experience. I was 4. And by the way, that experience around 1987, I always believed that the Great Storm of 1987 was the reason that I definitely got that seed was planted with regards to my fascination and of weather and climate. I think nobody in my family have any interest in weather or climate, probably because I bore the life out of them all the time speaking about it. But certainly, I always believed that was the seed to my interest and passion for the weather now. So, yeah. So let me see. Weather coming up, Mark. Here's hoping, Michael, that we can get some cooler weather coming up. The modeling is indicating cooler weather towards the second half of the opening week of January, beginning of the second week, and here is hoping that we can get Glenrothes. Very good. I've made plenty of deliveries to the farm foods at Glenrothes, James. I believe that's actually not there anymore. I think there's a new shop, if I'm right in saying. So it's a bit of a washout today, Justin. Mild 10 Celsius, but dry yesterday. At least you got a dry Christmas, eh? A bit of a washout. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see actually as we press through this week in terms of maybe the possibility of some stormier weather coming in as well as very, very mild. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But like I say, I'm going to have a video probably tomorrow at some point, and we'll have a look at the modeling and see where we go from here. Certainly the week between Christmas and New Year, I definitely wasn't expecting it to warm up quite as dramatic as that. I did think it was going to get cold towards the end of December around the Christmas period, but I also thought there would be a cold Christmas to New Year period. It looks as if the warmth that I thought was a possibility during the beginning of, or should I say, just after the New Year, I thought that warmth would have, stayed on the other side of the New Year as opposed to now, where of course it's arriving ahead of the New Year. So that creates a bit of a bust, that's for sure. But anyway, folks, I'm going to round this up. Listen, I really, really appreciate the fact that you've tuned into this live stream. And I'm going to, like I say, try and make it a weekly thing. I'll be a little bit more organized. If I don't have charts for us to be able to look at and discuss, and you can write and ask questions live on the stream, I'm going to at least take some notes down and have it a little bit more structured. This was really just a kind of test stream this evening. So I do appreciate it. Hope everybody is staying safe, and have a great rest of your Boxing Day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.